Okay, picture this. You open a fresh chat. That cursor's just blinking, right? Waiting.
Mhm.
But then you type something, and instead of just, text coming back,
Yeah.
a live map slides into view. Or maybe a playlist bar you can actually play.
Oh, okay. So visual components.
Exactly. It feels different. Like your AI assistant isn't just a tool anymore. It's more like a teammate. That's what we're digging into today.
Yeah, and it's more than just plugging in more services. This is really a strategic move, I think. It's changing how we interact with computers.
How so?
Well, think about the old web, right? It was like a maze. So many tabs open just to get one simple task done.
Tell me about it.
This new way, it's kind of positioning the chat window as your main control center. The conversation is the interface. Services just appear when you need them.
Okay, so that's the mission for this deep dive then.
Mhm.
We need to unpack this new feature,
Mm-hmm.
apps in ChatGPT.
Right.
We need to get really clear on what they are, how they're fundamentally different from the old plugins.
Yeah.
Because that's crucial, isn't it?
Absolutely key. People might think it's just a name change.
And why this whole thing could really change how we handle everyday tasks. We're moving beyond just text.
We are into these live interactive surfaces. We need to cut through let's say, the marketing hype a bit
Mhm.
and explain what's really going on underneath, because the tech here actually dictates the quality of that interaction. These are, well, living interfaces, not just API calls spitting back text.
Okay, let's nail down that core difference straight away.
Yeah.
Apps versus plugins. Because, if you've used these things since, 2023, you might be thinking, is this just a paint job? We've had third-party stuff in chat for a bit now. What makes this iteration different?
That's the #1 question, I think. Plugins, they really felt like adapters, didn't they?
Yeah, like a little go-between.
Exactly. You'd ask something, the model calls a service, the service sends back, usually just a chunk of text, or maybe a link.
Right.
And the model would just, read it back to you. The key thing there was it was stateless. A one-shot deal. The plugin did its thing, gave you the info, and that was it. Conversation moved on.
Right, like getting a quick fact from Wolfram.
Yeah.
Useful, sure, but not exactly interactive.
Precisely. Apps are fundamentally different because they are stateful and they render their own unique live UI component, right? They're in the chat.
Stateful meaning.
Meaning it remembers, it maintains a session. That component, that living interface, it stays active. So if you ask for, say, homes in a certain price range, you don't just get a list of addresses anymore. You get a live Zillow map with pins you can actually tap on.
Okay, that's different.
And that map, it stays open, it's interactive. You can refine your search just by typing more instructions.
It's like, show me ones near a park.
Exactly. And the map updates visually, instantly, without having to reload the whole chat thread.
Wow. Okay, that immediately changes the whole rhythm, doesn't it?
Completely.
It goes from that single ask and get to, a proper back and forth.
Yeah.
Multi-turn conversation with visual feedback right away.
The UI changes as you refine the request. It feels less like you're talking to a search box.
Yeah.
And much more like you're actually collaborating with someone or something.
Pair work.
Exactly. That responsiveness, seeing the results change visually while you're still talking, that keeps you in the flow.
Yeah.
Which is, the holy grail of good interface design.
So who are these new teammates then? Who's part of this launch?
Okay, the initial lineup covers some pretty major categories. Things like design, music, travel, learning, even planning things like finding a house.
High-value stuff.
Definitely. And the neat part is you often don't have to manually switch them on or anything.
Yeah.
You can either call them by name, like at Spotify, or the system might just suggest one if your conversation seems to be heading that way.
Like it anticipates what you might need.
Yeah, a bit of intelligent routing. So the lineup itself, pretty focused on practical things you do every day. You've got Canva in there.
Canvas. So like making visuals.
Exactly. Presentations, social media posts, posters. You can create and even edit them right there in the chat.
Way.
Then there's Spotify for generating playlists, refining them. And crucially, you can actually play the music in line within the chat interface itself.
Okay, that's pretty cool. What else? You mentioned Zillow.
Yep, Zillow for that interactive map we talked about, filtering homes just by typing what you want.
Makes sense.
For travel, you've got partners like Booking.com, Expedia, surfacing options right there.
Right in the conversation.
And for learning, Coursera is a really interesting one.
How does that work?
You can actually watch course videos inside the chat. And here's the kicker. While the video is playing, you can ask the model questions about it.
Seriously, like what do they mean by that term?
Precisely, or summarize the last minute for me. It blends watching with immediate clarification.
That does sound like a genuine time saver. No more rewinding frantically.
Exactly. And we should also mention design tools like Figma.
Oh, Figma's huge.
Yeah, turning sketches into diagrams, spinning up a FigJam board. Plus, services like Uber and OpenTable are apparently in the pipeline too, for those immediate real-world tasks.
Booking a ride or a table without leaving the chat. Makes sense.
So thinking about who should try what first. If you're listening and you do anything with visuals, like creators or marketers,
Yeah?
definitely start with Canva, see how it feels to create something without constantly switching tabs.
Okay, good tip.
If you're into learning, try Coursera. Watch a bit of a video, then ask the model to explain a concept. That immediate context really shows off the stateful UI.
Got it. And for house hunters or shoppers?
Zillow's the obvious one. Type in what you're looking for, like 3 bedrooms near a park, and just play with the map that pops up.
It feels like the key is reducing that friction of jumping between apps.
That's exactly it. It shows up where you're already working.
Okay, so how do you actually use them? People might expect like a complicated setup process.
Right. But they've kept it pretty simple. It's basically 3 steps: discover, connect, interact.
Discover, connect, interact. Okay, so how do you discover or like call up an app?
2 main ways. The first is just direct. You call it by name, use the @ symbol.
Like at Spotify, make me a workout playlist.
Exactly. At Spotify, build a party playlist for Friday, upbeat and clean, something like that. The assistant brings up the Spotify interface, and you're off.
Simple enough. What's the other way?
The other way is more guided. This shows off the AI's routing smarts.
Okay.
Let's say you're just chatting about brainstorming ideas for a new logo. The system might pop up a little suggestion. Want to try Canva or Figma for this?
Ah, so it notices the context.
Yeah, it's doing a bit of intelligent matchmaking, anticipating your next step.
Clever. What about
Sure.
connecting them? First-time use, privacy,
Really important point.
Yeah.
When you use an app for the first time, you'll see a consent screen.
standard stuff.
Yeah, but crucial. It tells you exactly what data that app needs to function and asks for your okay
You have to approve it.
explicitly. Once you say yes, that connection is saved for next time. But, and this is key, you're always in control. You can go into your settings and disconnect any app, anytime.
Good to know. So user control is maintained.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the interaction part, the actual using it.
Right. You mentioned the UI component lives in the chat.
Yeah, it typically appears above the model's text response. So you can see the visual, the map, the playlist, the slides, and you can keep talking to the assistant.
While the app's little window stays open.
Exactly. That component view persists, and it updates live as you refine your request.
So back to the Zillow example. I say, okay, now filter to 3 bedrooms with a yard.
And boom, the map redraws itself immediately. Or, with Canva, make that deck look calmer, maybe just one accent color.
And the slide options regenerate.
Instantly. And importantly, for security, the app's UI runs inside what's called a safe sandbox, meaning the app developer controls their backend service, but the visual part, the HTML and code that runs in your chat window, is isolated. It can't mess with your main ChatGPT session or data.
Okay, that sandbox concept sounds vital for trust. But let me push back a little. Are we just trading one complexity for another?
How do you mean?
Well, we escaped the maze of tabs, sure. But now, do we face prompt overload? Is the mental effort shifting from clicking buttons to figuring out the perfect sentence to get the app to do what we want?
That is a really fair point, a critical observation, actually.
Right.
The model does the orchestrating, yes, but you, the user, still need to be pretty clear and articulate about what you want. The suggestions help lower that barrier, the friction of just starting. But for complex back and forth, yeah, the conversation needs more maybe finesse than just clicking an icon you already know.
Okay, let's make it really concrete then. Walk us through an example. You mentioned Canva for decks. Let's use that. How would building a presentation actually work step by step?
Okay, perfect example. This really shows that collaborative feel. First, you'd probably draft your outline right. Either paste in some bullets you already have, or maybe even ask the assistant to help you sketch out the structure.
Just in the normal chat.
Yep. Then you invoke Canva with a fairly specific prompt, something like, at Canva, turn this outline into a 12-slide deck. Use a high contrast theme, maybe one accent color.
Okay, pretty direct.
That single sentence pulls the Canva app into the chat thread, and it usually gives you a few instant draft options to start with, based on the context.
Different visual styles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You pick one you like, and the Canva deck component opens up right there. Now, instead of jumping to the Canva website and hunting through menus, you just keep talking. You refine the visuals using plain English. You're basically issuing design commands conversationally.
Like what? Give me an example.
You might say, okay, use a clean sans serif font for everything, or add simple diagrams on slides 3, 7, and 9.
And the deck updates.
Almost instantly, the UI component just regenerates.
Yeah.
You can even work on the content with the AI while the deck is open. Ask it to, say, make these bullet points shorter, or rewrite the title on slide 2.
While looking at the slide.
While looking right at it. It shows you the results live. You're orchestrating the whole thing, structure, content, visuals, without leaving that flow state.
You could get quite granular, couldn't you? Like, put a 3-step flow diagram on slide 5, use arrows.
Absolutely. Canva can drop in shapes, diagrams based on that. And, for people who really care about the final output, you can even ask about accessibility stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like check the color contrast, increase it where needed, or make sure all the figures have alt text.
Wow. That's pretty integrated.
And then the final step, you don't need to go find an export button somewhere else.
No.
You just tell Canva right there in the chat, export this as a PDF or generate a share link, and you get the file or the link delivered in line.
So the whole process from outline to final file stays in one conversation.
Exactly. That seamless experience, that's why this feels like a glimpse into how software might work in the future. It makes the chat window feel like a universal front door.
The operating system of everyday tasks, maybe?
That's a good way to put it, because it fundamentally cuts down the steps, the friction to get things done.
Which brings us neatly to the bigger picture, the strategy. What does this mean for the brands, the Canvas and Spotifys of the world who are participating? There's got to be some tension there, right?
Oh, absolutely. There's a definite strategic tension. On one hand, the risk for these big brands is, commoditization.
Hope so.
If you, the user, are just talking to ChatGPT, the specific brand identity kind of fades into the background, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If you say, book me a hotel, and the assistant suggests Booking.com or Expedia, and they both just show up as these neat, interactive cars.
They start to look the same. Standardized.
Exactly. The unique look and feel of their own website gets minimized. It's all about the function within the chat.
Yeah, I can see that. If Zillow gives me a great map right here in the chat, why would I go to the Zillow website with all its ads and extra stuff? That seems risky for them.
That's the core risk. Losing that direct traffic, that direct relationship, maybe losing monetization opportunities like ads. But the flip side is massive reach. Unbelievable reach. They get to tap into potentially hundreds of millions of active users.
Right, where those users are already spending time.
And they get this guided discovery. The AI literally points users towards them at the exact moment the user expresses a need for what they offer.
So it's a trade-off. Give up some control, some branding maybe.
In exchange for potentially huge distribution and user acquisition. It's a gamble, but a potentially lucrative one.
Interesting. And for any developers listening, can we quickly touch on the tech that makes this work?
Mm-hmm.
How does the AI know when to show Zillow or how to display that Canva deck?
Yeah, briefly. The underlying tech is something called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. It's not just a standard API. Think of it as a specific language the AI uses. It tells the AI model when it should pause the text generation and how to construct that UI widget, that little app interface. Developers define their tools, specify what data they need in return, and crucially, they attach an HTML template.
So the visual part is just standard web tech.
Pretty much. HTML, CSS, JavaScript. The developer handles their back-end logic and authentication, but the client, the ChatGPT interface you're using, renders that HTML template inside that safe sandbox we mentioned.
So the AI model is like the traffic cop, narrating and routing.
Good analogy. It handles the conversation flow and intelligently dispatches tasks to the right app. It's like building for a new kind of operating system where the chat is the shell.
And the AI is the dispatcher. It definitely creates this abstraction layer, smoother for the user.
But also makes the app provider dependent on that AI router for getting discovered. Another part of that strategic tension.
Okay, last laugh. Let's clear up some practicalities. Availability and common misconceptions. First off, who gets this? Do you need a paid plan?
Nope. Good news there, it's rolling out to all logged-in users. Doesn't matter if you're on Free, Go, Plus, or Pro.
That's big. Everyone gets access eventually. And when did this start rolling out?
The initial rollout began August 28th, 2025. Started in English for users outside the EU.
Okay, so relatively recent. And EU support is coming.
That's the plan, yeah. Promise to follow soon after the initial launch.
Right. Now, misconceptions. We need to hammer this home.
Yeah.
This is not just plugins renamed, right?
Absolutely not. We covered it, but it bears repeating. Plugins were mostly text-based, stateless adapters. Apps have these living, stateful UI components. It's a different interaction paradigm.
Got it. And what about those suggestions? When an app prompt pops up, are those ads?
No, definitely not ads. They're meant to be helpful, contextual suggestions based on your conversation, part of the core experience. And you can always ignore them, decline them, or even choose a different app if you prefer.
You're not locked into the suggestion.
Not at all. Think of these apps as like micro-experiences. They borrow the best interactive bits from complex websites, but keep the conversation front and center.
It really feels like a fundamental shift. The internet trained us for, 20 years? To hunt for buttons, click through menus, remember where things were.
A lot of clicking.
Apps in ChatGPT feel like they let us use sentences again, to actually create, refine, and get work done just by talking. The sentence becomes the main navigation tool.
Well put. And if you really want to feel that difference, the gap between the old way and this new conversational flow, we have a suggestion.
Okay, a challenge for the listener.
Yeah, try one of these two things. First option, try making a simple, maybe 10-slide presentation using Canva right inside ChatGPT. Start with an outline, ask it to generate, then refine it with words.
Feel the flow.
Exactly. Or second option, tell Spotify and ChatGPT to make you a work playlist based on, say, 3 artists you like. Then use your voice or typing to tweak the mood, make it more upbeat, add something instrumental.
And see how it responds instantly.
You will immediately get that difference between a single-shot tool and this stateful, collaborative teammate, as you called it earlier.
It really does feel like the future of software might be less about monolithic applications and more about these smart surfaces, these capabilities that just appear when you need them.
Right, when you need them. We're definitely watching it happen. The conversation really is becoming the operating system.